I want to welcome all of our members to our Accounting Profession Matters series. And I'm joined here today with Sue Coffey, our CEO of Public Accounting. We've done a lot of videos in this COVID era, as people like to call it, and a lot of them have been about government assistance programs for small business and tax. And the fact of the matter is, today's series is a very important topic about audit quality and the commitment that our profession has to the public interest. And for all of you tax practitioners out there, don't turn this off, because I know, in interacting with thousands and thousands of our members, that we all have this passion in our profession about our public interest and about the reputation of our profession in delivering on that. And we want to spend a few minutes today to talk about the continued and long-term commitment that our profession has had into that public interest area, and to high quality work that we do in everything that we do, but specifically today in the audit area. And this has been a major focus of our organization for the last several years, as we've instituted new programs, and we've really made significant commitment to work with the thousands of practitioners who do all sorts of financial reporting work, audit work, comp and review at various levels and various size entities. And so I'm going to ask Sue to join me. And Sue, I talk about the passion in our profession for the quality. And I've known you in a long time. We worked together a long time. I don't know anyone that has a greater passion about that than you. Tell me what you think about in this environment, and really what you've been focused on and really want to deliver to our members to be thinking about in this space.
Yeah, well, thank you, Barry, and I'm very happy to be here. And you're right, I am very passionate about that. It's interesting. Next year is we've got an anniversary with Sarbanes-Oxley, right? And that's really had me thinking and reflecting on what we've done since Sarbanes-Oxley was enacted to really help the profession embrace its public interest responsibilities and enhance audit quality. And, the profession has done an amazing job. And we've done a lot, as you mentioned, to help the profession with quality challenges. And as I said, really kind of embracing our responsibility. Obviously, we all took Sarbanes-Oxley and the issues that resulted in Sarbanes-Oxley very seriously, really refocused our commitment to quality. Firms, really focused their tone at the top, and, promoting quality throughout the organizations was significant. And I think as a profession, we've come a long way. There's been real investment by firms of all sizes in both the public and private company space, because we all know trust is earned, and it's hard to earn, but very easy to lose. And we are a profession of trust, and we have to be vigilant every day in that respect. So kind of just a couple of examples of things that we did to help firms enhance quality. First, we created the Center for Audit Quality, or really evolved the SEC practice section post-creation of the PCAOB to really help firms that audit public companies focus on the right things. We also realized that there were other areas of practice needing focus, those that were unique, complex, and impacted a significant population of the public. So we created the Employee Benefit Plan and the Governmental Audit Quality Centers as well. And really pleased to say that we have had a significant impact over the last 15 plus years. And we've got significant membership in all of those centers, and are covering significant dollars of those public interest type engagements. We also launched our Enhancing Audit Quality Initiative, which really brings together all areas of the AICPA to support audit quality. And a major focus of that program has been on the effectiveness and transparency of peer review. We found that we probably weren't operating as effectively as we could have been. And so we really upped our game on peer reviewer qualifications and quality, making sure reviewers are finding deficiencies where they exist, and where they find them, requiring very targeted remediation. And again, we've had huge success in this area. huge percentage of firms that receive remediation show improvement. So that's a good thing. You can't correct what you're not finding, right? We also created greater transparency of peer review results to the regulatory community by establishing a technology portal for peer review reports. And we changed the peer review reporting model so that the users of firm services really understand the level of quality that those firms are experiencing. So a lot has been done in peer review, again, to address some of the deficiencies that were creating some of the challenges that we've seen in the past. Very interestingly, the peer review process has given us the ability to really understand more deeply where our members are experiencing challenges and create resources to help them improve. So, for example, early on, we detected issues with documentation, poor documentation, or even a lack of documentation in certain circumstances. And obviously, documentation is important. You don't get credit if you don't document. So we focus very heavily on that, and we're in a much better spot right now. Another example would be risk assessment. We see, challenges in that area all the time, and we realized that there was very inconsistent application of the standard. And that resulted in changes to the standards. So a whole host of really important things are coming out of many of the initiatives that we've put forth as a result of, the history and our public interest protection mandate.
So Sue, obviously what you just described is multi-years and multi-decades, maybe to be fair, in some cases in these programs. And in future programs, we'll drill down on some of the specifics of some of these and really where firms might be going through change or really coming back to work in a work in the office in a COVID world, post-COVID world. There's things that we need to constantly be reminded of. But I want to point out two things. One on the student side, and see if you have any reaction, because I know you have a passion about the pipeline as well. But one of the things I like to encourage our members to do when they're talking and interacting with young people who might be contemplating our profession is that this commitment to quality and the public interest that you just described, it's not just about the end result, the audited financial statement. It really is about, you used the word trust. It's really about trust in a capital market system that the audit is so important to. And whether it's a private company borrowing from a bank, or whether it's a publicly listed company in which investors feel confident in investing in that market, the sort of the veracity of our capital market system, and it's not unique to the US, it's around the world, but the veracity of the capital market really flows over that trust in that second look and that work that our profession brings to the table. And young people who today are very interested in what is a purpose, really, standard of living and effectiveness of business all flows from that access to capital. And I think that's a very important point to reinforce. But I'm sure you have some ways of saying that from your own perspective as well.
Well, I agree with that. And also, pensions, obviously, very important, retirement funds, as well as governments. When you think about all of our taxpayer dollars and you think about tax reform, as you mentioned earlier, Barry, making sure that we're vigilant about that public interest perspective. And it really does give greater purpose to the younger generation that is looking for that purpose. And when I think about, for example, some of the things the profession has done over the last 18 months to 2 years as a result of COVID, in really helping our capital markets, helping small business, I have to say I'm really proud to be part of a profession that takes that role very seriously.
Which leads me to my second point. It's a great segue, and that is we're approaching the end of 2021. We can see the end of 2021, and we really are talking about another year of maybe non-traditional auditing. And we've produced all sorts of guidance to make sure that this quality commitment in 2020, as we were going into for calendar year audits, into early 2021, and now mid-year, year ends or the audit is in process now, we've just almost an unending list of things that we've done to help people understand how to audit remotely, how to interpret certain provisions that were out there, how to do documentation where sort of the normal interaction with a client's environment was different. And obviously, there's still some of those challenges out there as we're still in COVID to a certain degree. And I think it's a good time to remind firms that it's still not like it was pre-COVID, and there's some things we need to be thinking about along those lines.
Yeah, that's right, Barry. I mean, the good news is when I think about last audit season, um, I feel like we were better prepared than we thought we'd be to transition into a totally remote environment. The standards themselves were actually fit for purpose. It was just really the application of them and looking at things differently, like risk. Obviously, you're in a pandemic situation and the fraud risk is higher at a client. So, looking at it differently and planning differently and adjusting audit scope differently was important. Thinking creatively and it's, very often with auditors, we're not thought of creatively, but actually we have to be very creative. We have to apply judgment every day. We have to apply appropriate skepticism and looking at those challenges a bit differently and understanding risk differently and adjusting procedures to make sure that procedures will support our audit opinion is very important. Now, going into another season, we've got a first season under our belt a bit, and that will definitely help us be much more effective and much more efficient in what we're doing. But you're right, and kind of taking this back to where we started in trust, it takes a long time to earn that trust, but a short time to lose it. And so, again, continuing to be vigilant, and making sure that we are showing leadership and working with our engagement teams and crossing all those T's and dotting those I's are really important. One thing I do want to mention, Barry, that you and I have been talking about is the increased number of entities that are going to be subject to single audits as a result of federal stimulus and relief programs that came about last year. And, I'm thinking about client acceptance and continuance, and so many of these entities being subject to single audit for the first time. And are we really qualified to do the work? Should we be looking for other firms to partner with if we don't have that skill set, or refer to if we don't have that skill set? So I think that'll be very important as we think about this upcoming audit season.
Thank you, Sue. I think that's a great list, and we will drill down in some of these areas in future video series to really help give sort of a thought process for firms. And on behalf of Sue and I want to thank all of the thousands of firms that do audits out there, because as we've interacted, the openness to the leaders of the firms, the heads of assurance, the audit partners, to some of these issues, it is a change management function as things evolve, and especially as they've evolved in this COVID world. And I just know that people in the leadership positions have really invested so much, passion and energy to create that tone at the top, as you've mentioned. And I also want to recognize many of the things that we've brought to the profession, we do through communications and cooperations with regulators, because some of these things, it's new and evolving areas for them as well. And we want to make sure that we have as succinct and effective communications and address those issues that are really the most important. So thank you for your time today. We will continue to do so, as I said, drill downs in some of these areas as we move into and towards the end of the year. And we wish you the best of the luck in the last sort of quarter of this year, and we look forward to further dialogue. Thank you.